Well, somehow in this crazy world, we've made it to Wednesday. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Kane. Welcome to the Midday Show, and I welcome you with a charming espresso. The cup's dirty. No, you've had a horrible insight. Oh, I'm hiding that. All right, now you can just see. No, it's dirty on the. It's dirty all over, isn't it? A packed show for you today. Packed. Now, I'm slightly distracted, and I'll tell you why I'm slightly distracted. I am slightly distracted because I have just spent 1.5 hours on WhatsApp with Phil Dave. 1.5 hours with Phil. What has happened is, and a lot of people are saying to me, well, we don't get the notifications for the midday show anymore, and we can't access this on this and that. The reason is not us. The reason is that Facebook, in the infinite Zuckerberg universe in which it inhabits, has changed its rules and the way you can connect. I thought I was doing all right. I spent hours trying to sort this out. And then Phil, who has a brain the size of our planet, he just spent an hour and a half trying to get this sorted. So anyway, we should be up everywhere now eventually. But Twitter's also changed its rules. And now, if you want to broadcast to Twitter, which was fine before, you have to have a premium membership. I'm not paying for a premium membership. If you all want to club together, that's fair enough. But the easiest thing, as I put on the scrolling thing here, is to simply go onto YouTube. YouTube is fine. Just hit the YouTube. Here it is. Here it comes. It's YouTube /@ the midday show. And you can see the rest of it. There it is. It's going across. At the midday show. You'll find us and you can join us, and that'll be fine. That's about the best I can do. What a week! I know. Yeah, I know that. Scotty, I know, mate. I've just explained to you that the Twitter is indeed dead because I'm refusing to pay an enormously expensive Elon Musk subscription to Twitter. I'm not going to do it. So we can't broadcast to Twitter anymore, which is infuriating. But there we go. And, little guys like us, it really hurts. If you're somebody like, a multi-million-pound company, it's peanuts. What do we got here? Good day. Come on, Rossi. Azadon Brown. Hello, Aza. Glad you're watching. Thank you for joining. Graham Pack. Bound to be hilarious. Oh, for God's sake. Right. Hiya. Hi, Kimi Lashmar. All right, let's see what Pack's got to say. I thought you were conversing with Phil to work out when he's coming to clean your car after doing Rupert's. That's so rude. Phil is fully employed with Rupert's cars. Hasn't got time for my little car. Hasn't got time. Kimi Lashmar, are you in the UK? Are you on holiday? Are you were sending nice photos of somewhere exotic? It looked very, very nice. What a week. So the coup is complete in America. No one voted for her. Unbelievable. I understand why people are really, really upset. Look, I'm able to vote. I can't vote. I'm not an American citizen. Asa can vote. I don't know if somebody got dual citizenship, but it's just amazing. And you've got the biggest job in the world, outside of Zuckerberg and Elon, of course. You've got the biggest job in the world, and you choose Twitter or X to announce you've quit. Unbelievable. Think about that for a minute. Think about it. Like, normally you would say, well, I'll do an address from the Oval Office, or I'll do something. No. I'll put a tweet. I'm the same as Russ Kane tweeting about his dog, but I'm the president of America, and I'm just going to tweet. Unbelievable. Couldn't make it up. If I put this into a novel, my agent would be going, that's ridiculous. No one would believe that. Take that out. Because he's pretty hardcore. Kimi Lashmar, back in the UK, lovely time in France. Well, it is full of French. You see, fallen at the first hurdle. I am hoping, fingers crossed, seriously, I am really, really hoping that everything goes okay with the Paris Olympics. There are stratas within society who will use it as a global platform to try and do something absolutely terrible. You know it. I know it. You know what I'm talking about. Don't even have to explain it anymore. Don't even have to explain it anymore. But it's how it is. So I hope the security works out. But I was kind of laughing to myself. There was a terrible, yes, Graham, I'm coming to you in a minute. There was a terrible film that I watched. I think it was called Subterranean Shark or Shark of France or something. Absolutely bloody hilarious. Fat Scotty. What do you say? We're all more interested in you and the pooch than the Yankee Doodle president. And finally, we come on to our first guest. And we can't work out how to pronounce Kamala. You pronounce it idiot. Karma Chameleon. Oh, very good, very good. How? I just despair. Talking of things not to despair, ladies and gentlemen. Talking of things not to despair. Where are we? Here we go. Got a big cheese coming up now. Here he is. Mr. Adam Ferguson is in the house. Hello, Adam.
How are you doing? I'm very well.
I'm all right. What is that behind you on the... I'm fascinated. What is that?
Oh, it's just a pair of wings. Don't ask why. It's just the background of choice.
See, we have to ask why, Adam. We have to go there straight away. The listeners and viewers demand to know. Demand.
Well, it was a Christmas decoration that never went away. You know, you get to that stage wherever it is in January, and it's time to take everything down. That one ends up staying up.
Adam, do you know somebody called Neil Long?
No. The name doesn't ring a bell.
I tell you why I'm asking. Because Neil Long puts up his Christmas tree, and come July, August, September, it's still up. By which point he says, well, there's no point in taking down the tree and the lights because Christmas is coming. And that's what he does. Right, Adam, tell us what... Anyway, Kimmy likes it. Kimmy Lashmar, love the wings. There you are. I see you've made a friend straight away.
Thank you.
Right. Julie, I'll come on to you after this. So, Adam Ferguson, Global Head of Insight, Proposition and Product Marketing. Boy, your badge must be like enormous.
It's a long old title.
It's like a billboard when you go out. Tell us all about yourself and what's happening.
So I work for a company called HMD, and what we're here to talk about today is the launch of something called the Better Phone Project. And this is
that again. The what project? I'm so sorry, I missed that.
The Better Phone Project.
Better phones, yes.
And this is really in response to the growing mental health issues that are being seen around the world, and a lot of perception that this is being driven by the use of phones and things like social media and the impact that that's having often on really young members of the family, kids, people maybe who have now sort of gone up into young adulthood. So what we have done is we've carried out some research. We spoke to 10,000 parents globally.
Blimey.
Adam,
I'm so glad you say that, because sometimes we get people on and go, well, how many people did you speak to? Oh, at least 20. And they go like, well, that's
no. We wanted to make sure that this is incredibly robust. So it's 10,000. And what we wanted to find out how they were feeling about things. We've not tried to sort of draw any scientific conclusions or do causality or anything. This is about how parents are feeling at the moment, and how we can help. Because what the research is really telling us is that parents are concerned about the impact that these things are having on their children. So, for example, over half of the parents we spoke to say that regardless of whenever it was they gave their child a phone, they wish they'd waited longer.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more with you.
And it's probably because then 2/3 of the 10,000 parents were saying that they perceived an impact on their child's mental health, whether that's through concentration or self-image, or things like that. And then I don't want to throw just bombard with statistics, but probably
bombard away. By the way, in case you're wondering, Aidan Brown is one of the leading members of the psychotherapeutic community in the United States. He always watches the show. He's agreeing with you, so you're not just chatting to me. You're not just chatting to me.
Very, very, very cool. Thank you, Asa. So the thing which I think which startles me the most as a parent, listening to the research come back, is that again almost half of the 10,000 parents that we spoke to say that they have perceived a fundamental change in an aspect of their child's personality because of the use of the devices. And that's terrifying as a parent.
It's awful.
so what we've then found subsequently is that the vast majority of the people we spoke to say they feel a little bit adrift. There isn't an obvious solution. There isn't just something they can go out and buy or use or in order to help them with a lot of the issues that they're perceiving here. And partly that's because many parents have handed down a smartphone maybe to their kids, and that would seem like an incredibly logical choice. Reuse the technology. That's very, very good in principle. But then of course it gives the young ones sort of unfettered access to all of the world that you can find online. And it's that sort of lack of scaffolding, if you like, mentorship that has then, in people's eyes, caused a lot of these potential issues.
But Adam, there's so much to unpack with this. This is a theme, by the way, we've been banging on the previous incarnation of this show for over 5 years. I feel very, very strongly about this, that social media is like a loaded gun. In the right hands, it's perfectly safe. In the wrong hands, it's going to destroy you. And there's no ifs or buts about it. And you've just spoken to 10,000 parents. There's all sorts of things like, are they abdicating responsibility? I'm not asking you to answer that, by the way, but these are the things we've discussed over the years. Are they abdicating responsibility? Are they caving in? Oh, well, Freddie up the road's got a phone. Why can't I? All right, here you go. Have a phone. I'm shocked when I'm out and about and you see toddlers glued to a screen. It's not Peppa Pig or something. God only knows what it is. And young minds are like blotting paper. They will absorb whatever you give them. And if it's good stuff, they'll be good adults. And if it's poisonous, they'll be dreadful adults. It's a huge responsibility.
It is. And what we've also seen is that they'll also absorb the habits. So where it starts really is with us as parents. We need to be role modeling the right kind of behavior on our devices. What I would encourage anyone who has an interest in this area to do is just to catch yourself. Think when are you using your phone in the presence of your family members, in particular your kids. I try and do it as much as I can, and I'm often shocked at my own behavior and think, no, hang on a minute, I really need to put that down, because it just sort of shows, creating this idea, in the people that see us as role models, that this is the kind of behavior that is the norm, that we should potentially be.
Well, if dad's doing it, if mum's doing it, it must be okay. That's how it works.
So that's sort of one of the areas where it starts. So all of this has happened. All of this research has happened, and so what are we going to do about it, right? It's typically unusual for a phone manufacturer, such as to come on a show and sort of start talking about this, right? Because you might think that we're not going to be wanting to talk about this, but we feel
no. I think it's. I hate to use the illusion again. But if you're Smith & Wesson or Glock or Sauer or whatever it might be, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility. It would be up to you to say, this is how you treat something which is potentially very dangerous.
We do.
I don't see it any different, Adam, than car people, putting in safety measures, putting in an airbag. They could just make a car and say, well, sod it. We've sold the car. That's all we care about. We don't need an airbag, don't need seatbelts. Good luck. Off you go. It doesn't work like that.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do with the Better Phone Project. So what we want to do now is really listen to all of the inputs and the pain points and the experiences from people out there who are either suffering with digital mental health issues themselves, or maybe for their kids, and then give them a voice, give them the opportunity to input into potential solutions.
So this question coming in, this is right on point from what you're saying, Adam. I was under pressure, says Kimmy Lashmar, but stuck to my guts by only letting my kids have a phone when they went to secondary school, and thankfully they're only a school year apart with just a basic phone in case they had problems getting home from school. I get that. I get you want them to be in touch, but now they're in their 30s. I'm glad I don't have teenagers anymore. What do you plan to do? Kimmy Lashmar.
A great question, Kimmy. So what we will do as part of the Better Phone Project is we are committing within a year to have sort of produced the fruits of everybody's labor into a potential solution, and that will probably be in the guise of hardware like a phone or something like that. But it really is going to depend on the input of people in this project, because what we're going to run is we're going to run various sessions online where we gather people's feedback, and we listen to experts, and we listen to parental groups, and we listen to lobbyists, everyone that is involved in this incredibly important topic. And then we're going to condense all of that, turn it into what we think is a solution, present it back, and probably have it torn apart, right? And then we'll bring it back together stronger. And then it might be torn apart again. And we're going to keep doing that over the course of the next few months until we get to a place where we're actually answering those real pain points, those real needs of people.
What you've just described, it's like how you make a sword in a forge.
With the reforging and going back in.
Reforge and you reforge and you reforge until it's as strong as it can be, and you get it into the right shape. It's one of the areas where it gets confusing, but people talk a lot of bullshit, is about freedom of speech. But if you're a toddler or a child, freedom of speech does not mean you can spout anything. This is where it's gone horribly, horribly wrong. And people can do the most disgraceful things on social media, etc. And you can't say anything because it's freedom of speech. No, it's hate speech, or it's poisoning a young mind, which is unforgivable. Unforgivable.
Well, the great thing is that we sort of now have the opportunity for people to say, okay, it is things like social media that actually I don't want my kids to have access to.
Precisely.
And where I suspect we will get to as we go through the Better Phone project is we'll get to a place where we realize there is no one size fits all solution. I think there's going to be a lot of nuance, and there's going to probably need to be more than one result, more than one outcome of it, because even though everybody agrees there is a big problem and something needs to be done and the time is now, there is a lot of different feeling when it comes to what that solution should be. You're talking about social media there, for example, that a lot of people sort of feel similarly about that around when have access later. But you take something as innocuous potentially as messaging, for example. We will use WhatsApp, and certain parents would say, absolutely, I need to be able to have that dialogue with my young one when they're away. But then others will say, well, hang on a minute, that then is the sort of the gateway, the introductory way to other wider social media platforms. I don't want that on my phone. Or you look at hardware, for example. Someone might say, we're all used to having cameras on the front of our phones these days. And some people will say, yes, I absolutely want my child's phone to have a front-facing camera because I want to be able to talk to them and see them when I'm talking to them, and maybe see the surroundings and that kind of thing. Whereas others will say, well, hang on a minute, if there's a camera on the front, how do we know, what is being recorded and what is then being sent onwards? So no, don't put a camera on the front. So I suspect there's going to be a lot of different views here. And whilst it is our responsibility to try and help provide choice and create this balance, we never want to dictate and say, this is the way you should do it, this is how you should parent. We don't have the right to do that. But we do have the responsibility to provide more choice than there is in the market.
God, it's so refreshing hearing. It is refreshing hearing this. I'm a terrible hypocrite, Adam, because I live and die on social media. It's how I run all my businesses, how we run the radio station. So it's ridiculous, but even at my advanced years, one has to be very judicial about what you do. Let me ask you a question. The great thing about mobile phones, when you've got kids, is if they're in trouble, heaven forbid, they've missed the train, the bus has broken down, they want to stay with, Fred overnight, the usual stuff, or they're going to be late at school, or you're going to be late, you're held up in traffic, and little Timmy is standing outside the school gates. Oh no, I think it's 1958. Is there a phone where a parent can just say, this is it, and this is how you phone me, and I phone? Does anything like that exist? Absolutely basic phone?
There are absolutely solutions in the market at the moment. You can take a look at the Nokia 3210, for example, right? That has basically everything that you've just described. And that's sort of what we have in the market at the moment, at the two polar ends of the spectrum, right? We have a smartphone with
so are you Mr. Nokia? Are you Nokia?
So we are the manufacturers of Nokia phones.
Can I tell you something? I didn't know what HMD produced. I'll tell you a story. if I may, Adam, if you've got the time.
Certainly.
All my life, I was in advertising and marketing as a writer, as a copywriter. And at my favorite agency, which was called IMP, International Marketing Promotions, the largest below the line agency in the world, an account came in from a little company in Finland, I think it was. No one wanted to touch it because it was a joke. And myself and a fantastic woman called Karen Opegard, who I'm still great friends with and just wrote her last 2 books, by the way, just edited them because she's now an interior designer. We said, oh, sod this. We'll take the account on and we'll do it. And we launched below the line Nokia in the UK. That was us.
Well, there you go. Then
that was us. I've never forgot. And everybody laughed at us because no one had heard of it. And everyone said, oh, Russ, for God's sake, what a terrible idea. I said, no. It was huge fun. Never forgotten it.
No, they probably weren't laughing for long.
They weren't laughing for long when Nokia just went.
Yes, and so we do absolutely make Nokia phones, but we also make HMD devices as well. And so what there is at the moment is that sort of 2 ends of the spectrum. You've got the likes of the Nokia 3210, and then you've got full access smartphones. Maybe you could have a bit of software control in there, but really there's nothing in the middle, because in the scenario you described a moment ago, what if you wanted to have something like GPS on there as well? Whether that's so that you can track your child and know where they are, or whether it's so they can use things like maps in order to get around. What if you don't necessarily want them carrying money or cards around? Want to be able to pay with the phone. You can't do that with those phones at the moment. There are lots of different things that the middle ground at the moment doesn't provide, and that's what the Better Phone project is really there to help provide that extra choice and that balance, so that if people want to go to one end of the spectrum or the other, that's fine. But if they'd rather have something that provides a little bit of both, then that's going to be what comes out of the project as well, hopefully.
I got to tell you, I have nothing but wonderful memories of my early phones. They were, the first one was the size of a house, was a Panasonic, right? It was ludicrous. It was a 1 hour battery size, and it was the size of a suitcase. But then the basic Nokia never ran out of battery. I bloody loved it. I had it for years. I was very upset when it, and it had no features. It was perfect. It was just great. They were terrific phones. Here's some, you're causing loads of interest today, fella. Adam. Wow. Says Fat Scotty, amazing project, one which I fully support. He's Scottish. What objections have to overcome, and from whom? P.S. Can we have please back the Nokia 5110, best bloody phone ever made?
Well, thanks, Scotty, and I'll bear the 5110 recommendation in mind.
Just make one for him. Go on, you can do it. You've got a huge, important title. Just say, boys, we're making one for Scott Lyons. That's what's happening. And they go, yes, sir.
But the bit of his question that I think is really interesting is when he's saying, what objections have you encountered?
Yeah,
and
good question.
The answer is none. And nobody has heard about this project and gone, well, that doesn't sound like a good idea. Everybody understands that this is an issue. Everybody knows that the time is now and that something must be done. And we feel not only this whole project is basically staffed by parents, right? It's staffed by people who have skin in the game and really want to create a solution. And we also feel like as a brand and as a business, HMD stands for Human Mobile Devices.
I never knew.
It's something that's sort of written into the DNA of our business. We also have loads of sustainability initiatives. We're creating repairable phones. We've just launched.
Get out! No. Not after I dropped it down the loo.
Well, no. So they retain, a level of water resistance as well. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
Thank God for
that. But the idea is it's written into sort of Human Mobile Devices' very DNA. And everybody, whether it's parents groups or media or lobbyists or expert, people in the medical field, there's not a single person who said no, you shouldn't be doing this. Everybody thinks this is a good idea, which is why we think we are going to get a phenomenal response over the course of the coming weeks and months.
Well, anything we can do, anything in our tiny little way. I know we're not the BBC or Sky, mercifully, but anything we can do, you only have to.
Well, let me maybe talk to you about how people can get involved then, because
excellent.
The sign up is live now, so people can go to hmd.com/Better Phone Project hyphens between Better Phone Project, and they can then register their interest now. Or you can just search HMD, the Better Phone Project. And what we'll then be doing is we will be coming to you in the coming weeks with details of the forums and the webinars and all these sessions that we're going to be hosting, where we download your thoughts and inputs and then eventually start presenting it back.
That's scary. Do you want to think about that phrase? Do you want to think of that phrase again? You want to think that through? Download your thoughts.
Okay, I see what you mean. Where we are keen to give you the opportunity to tell us what it is you want and what inputs you want to give us, and then we'll be presenting it back after having sort of worked out what the themes are, and then go through that process we talked about earlier of sort of iteration.
I know I've got to let you go, but one thing I'm very curious about: what is the entry age for most of the children before they, in your experience, or what you found, when a parent's saying, "Here you go, sweetheart, here's a phone"?
The research that we conducted, those 10,000 parents we spoke to, the average age that they came back with was just over 11. That was when they said, that is the age at which
I'm surprised.
I
thought it was going to be much younger.
Well, there are people that's the average, right? So that means there are some people who are waiting later, and then some people who are doing it, much younger than that. And you look at, there was a report that was done by Ofcom, so the body that sort of monitors all things to do with this industry and others, and they show that from the age of about 5 to 8 is where you start to see the big ramp up, and then by the time you reach 12, that's where basically everybody has one. Is what that research shows. But I do know I'm about to lose you. So
I'm okay, but I'm worried about your.
Well, I think I'm about to lose myself. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So just a reminder, Adam, how can I trial your HMD Skyline? I don't know what that is. I thought it was a Nissan Skyline handset. I'd love to road test one against my Oppo handset that I'm disillusioned with.
That is the device that we have just launched. It has gone out to critical acclaim. You can find the reviews and things that are coming out online on that now. You can get it from hmd.com. That's the way you can get hold of it. And also on hmd.com/Better Phone Project. Yeah, that's how you can get involved with this project as well.
Fantastic, Adam. You've been a mighty brain box, and you're, for once, thank heavens, there's a huge company talking absolute common sense. How refreshing. How refreshing is that? Let's dash across to New York State for the final thing. Adam Ferguson, intriguing idea, concept, and conversation from Dr. Asa Don Brown.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Adam. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us on the Midday Show. Appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. What a great guy. Huh? What a great guy. How rare. I'm curious because I've got a little thing here, and I'm going to put this on. Are you there, Phil Dave? No. Okay. So here's the thing. Right? How rare that a company, a big company, right, actually uses its noodle doodle and says, "This is what people want. This is the problem. Let's have a look at it." Graham Pack has to ruin everything in his Pack way. Look at this. Nokia. You think I was going to put that on while he was there? Nokia are a great burner phones for. Thank you very much. Thank you for adding to the conversation and debate. I like Nokia phones. Nokia phones I'm a Samsung guy just because I kind of know how it works, and it's okay. It's fine. It does what I need. I don't need a million things on a phone. I just. How many times, let me ask you this, have you ever been out to dinner or lunch with people and they're sitting there on their phone? Has that ever happened to you? It's nuts. I had a guy, sadly, he's passed now, sadly, and I said, "Why have you invited us out and you're sitting on your bloody phone the whole lunchtime?" I said, you can talk to me on the phone. We've all taken the time and trouble to have a lovely time, a social occasion. Have lunch, you're on your phone. Oh, let me just show you this. I don't want to see it, man. I don't want to see it. Stop it. What have we got here? Fat Scott here. This is the real type of blue sky thinking that will make a difference to our ever-changing and start raving mad world. Yeah, I need to get Adam on my own show. Get him on your show. I can link you up. I need to speak to you anyway. So I can hook you up. You should come on your show. What have we got? Surely it has to be in their best interest because it's coming full circle. Yeah, but you know and I know, Kimmy, that manufacturers don't give us stuff. They're interested in two things. The bottom line, they're commercial enterprises, and if they need to be, the share prices. And morals and care go out the window. If the share price is good, happy days. Doesn't really matter what the hell's happening. You know that. And don't get me started on the water companies. Those people should be in jail. They should be in prison. What they've done. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. But you know, if you live in a world, you're quite right. You know, Scott Lyons is saying it's a raving mad world. It is a raving mad world, an incredibly dangerous world at the moment. And I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being realistic. I look around and go, how can this possibly? How can this be acceptable? And, you know, they used to say in Nazi Germany, you know, you tell a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. And the bigger the lie, the bigger the truth. And you look at politics, particularly in America, and you think these are blatant lies. There's no wiggle room here. These are absolute blatant lies. And millions of people go, yeah, okay. They're lying. It's just ridiculous. Aizen Brown. Here we go. My family has a rule. There are no electronic devices at the dinner. Damn right. Living room or bedrooms. Oh, hang on. In the living room. How do you watch TV? No, I'm not being facetious. How do you watch TV? So if I'm eating, no phone. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Even if it's a cup of coffee, no. First thing in the morning with a coffee, yeah, maybe. But otherwise, no. Right. What do we got? Graham. A Jenna friend swapped her teenage children's smartphone for basic Nokia phones for a week for a TV program. I was okay after a week, whereas the others couldn't wait to get back. Yeah, well, yeah. It's okay. It doesn't really bother me. Kimi Lashmar. In France last week, the woman and small child were on something like FaceTime. His voice, oh, Jesus, I hate that. It was all in French, but yeah, you know, when you're on the train or the bus, and some twat has got their phone on speakerphone, or even better if they're watching a video. Jesus. Right. Enough of this. I told you it was a full show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, look at me. Let's talk about a bit of stress, something which I'm feeling today, because soon after this, I have to go and officiate at a funeral. No, not dressed like this. Of course, I will be in my three-piece proper celebrant suit. Let's welcome to the Midday Show, Dave Gibson.
Hi there.
Hello, Dave. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Afternoon.
Good afternoon. What a perfect clarity. How marvelous. What a lovely setting, if it's real, but it looks great.
I'm in the Oasis.
Are you?
I am.
Oh, look, there's Noel and Liam. There they are. Right. So, yay. Tell us all about yourself, Dave. I had a friend at school. Sorry, I got to tell you, it freaked me out when the PR people said, "Oh, it's got Dave Gibson." Because I had a very close friend at school called Dave Gibson, who sadly passed. He was head of PRS. If you're in the music, it doesn't matter. Right,
yeah, no, the PRS. I used to play a bit myself.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
I'm a stress and well-being expert these days, so I try and give advice and tips on how to get a stress-free life and a deeper night's sleep.
You're looking at the right guy, my friend. You're looking at the right guy. I'm stressed off my face at the moment. So we're all agog. Come on, tell us what's happening.
Well, we did some research with Provocan, and we were looking at the difference between parents during the school holidays and non-parents during the school holidays. And not surprisingly, parents are under more pressure.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah, dual income households were all struggling a bit. And it was the lack of personal time. It was the work-life balance. And sadly, we're already starting off from a sleep-deprived and stressed place. And it just seemed to tip the balance a little bit more in the.
So you've got a fan here straight away, Fat Scotty, who's a professional broadcaster as well as some known. Love the DT100s, Dave. I have no idea what that is. Presumably your headset. It's either your headset or your mic. I'd have no idea. Anyway, but there we go.
It could be either.
It could be either. Okay, fair enough. So I'm stressed permanently. I'm always stressed. And I have to learn techniques to stop being so stressed. What's your advice?
Look at 24 hours only, and look at how you can plan 24 hours to literally be 24 hours. Don't try and push tons of extra stuff into your day. Think about your day when you wake up. So get some sunlight, get it bright, plan your day, and think about how you're going to go from where you're at, how you're going to plan your day, take some breaks, get into the evening, how you're going to wind down, and how you're going to get to sleep roughly at the same time every day, if you can.
We're being joined by top BBC broadcaster Liz Saul, who's on location. When I say on location, she's in her car. God only knows. Now, Liz gets stressed. Liz Saul gets stressed. Yeah. I mean, we all get stressed. We all get stressed. What things should we not do to de-stress?
First thing you should do is not use the word stress. In fact, it's proven if you use the word stress, your heart rate goes up. So look at it as something different than stress.
Mine is now 74.
So if you talk about stress and keep talking about stress, you will be stressed. So talk about what you want rather than what you don't want. I want to feel free. I want to have a relaxing day. I'm going to have a relaxing day. So certainly look at how you talk to yourself inside your brain and visualize something other than feeling time poor. And then look at 24 hours.
Ooh, time poor like that.
So wake up, do an affirmation.
That's a start. At my age, that's the start, Dave. Wake up.
Absolutely.
That's the first thing. If I've cracked that, the day can move on, I feel.
But a lot of what we say to ourselves then becomes our reality. You know, we're living in an age where we are time poor. We're on tech too much. Get yourself off tech. Have a tech detox. Yeah. A lot of us go, oh my God, you're asking me to turn the phone off. I can't do that. Well, that's a sign that you're hooked on it. That's a dopamine addiction. Try having a detox where you're not on your phone.
Sorry to jump on, but yeah, I could agree for personal stuff. But the other side of one of the things that I do is I'm a celebrant. As I said, I got another funeral to officiate today, this afternoon, right? I can't have my business phone switched off because I have funeral directors and people phoning for inquiries. I can't have that switched off. That's commercial suicide. That's nuts. I can't do that. That has to be on.
Well,
I don't think it's necessarily about that, though, because it's very easy to sort of get focused on your work, and particularly in the industries that we all work in. I mean, media is 24/7. It's relentless. But actually, there are other journalists, there are other celebrants, and you're a far better celebrant, journalist, whatever job you do, if you take that time out. It's not about you not having your phone on or not taking that call. It's just taking a few minutes out for yourself. And you can do that. I mean, I worry about not being near my phone or relatively near my phone because, you know, I might get a call from my dad or a family member that's not very well or something like that. You know, you just don't know when there's going to be an emergency or something.
Precisely.
But actually, having had it myself very early on in my career, 9/11 happened. And I ended up doing a 15-hour shift, and I got home and my mum, who's a news junkie as well as a journalist, was still watching everything unfold on 9/11. I was just like, please turn it off. I can't cope with this. I need a few minutes just to decompress from all this.
Here's a very tough question for you, Dave Gibson, and coming in from a professional broadcaster called Scott Lyons. I'll read it out. Dave, my dad is receiving treatment for bladder cancer. I'm so sorry, Scotty. What kind of technique can we both adopt to help manage the stress and to channel a positive attitude and help deal with the here and now? Huge question.
It is. It's to first acknowledge your fear, to first acknowledge where you're at in terms of this is something that is not going to go away. And then you literally live 24 hours at a time. You bring your brain back into the moment. You exist in the moment. So you try and ground yourself, do more meditation, focus on what you've got right now. It's literally about being grateful for what you have right this minute.
How do you, having gone through illnesses in the family, I'll leave it at that, I'm not going into details, Liz can jump in because she knows where I'm going and she's shared the same kind of route. They're interesting words. But you know, when you're in the midst of it, it's really hard to achieve that. It's very hard. When you're in the middle of that,
basically, you're just treading water.
You're treading water to keep your head above before you drown.
So that's as that's where you start. You start where you start and you move 1 or 2 steps forward, but try not to compare right now versus yesterday or tomorrow. Don't project. You are where you are. Move 1 step forward.
How does that balance? How does that balance? See, here's another thing. This is from Graham Pack. I'm self-employed. Many years ago, I was on holiday in New York, took a phone call from someone I'd never dealt with or even knew. One of my longest clients. That's you got to strike a balance.
You're talking about reality and fantasy. The fact is, we didn't used to have mobile phones. We were prepared to turn them off. I will have a digital detox on a Sunday. I will turn my phone off for half a day. It's great. Because what we do know is even when our phone's with us, we're attached to it. Our brainwave goes from alpha to beta. We ramp ourselves up to the degree that we can't switch off. And that's part of the problem. We live with stress. We live with a 24/7, 365-day a year activity, and we are losing 2 hours sleep a night. Our children are sleeping less than 6 hours a night. They are designed to sleep for more than 8 hours a night. So it's about how do we set ourselves up to give role models to younger people that they can follow and be healthy. We're attached to mobile technology.
What is that noise? Wow, that is loud. It's loud in my ears.
I don't know.
So it's about being in the moment. It's about being in the moment. It's about enjoying and celebrating right now, right this minute, and being alive. Mobile technology takes us away from personal contact. What I always say to people, if you're thinking of doing a phone call, do a video. If you're thinking of doing a text, do a call. If you're thinking of saying something to somebody on a Zoom, try meet them face-to-face human contact.
Yeah, all right. I agree with some of that and disagree with some of that.
It does depend on the practicalities. And just going back for a moment to dealing with family illnesses, is that one thing?
It's not me for once. Here's the thing, Dave. If I can speak to someone if it's a business thing, and I had this example yesterday, and they said, "Oh, can you come here?" And I said, "Well, we can." Boy, that is loud. I don't know what it is. Somebody's getting messages or something, and it's cutting right across. Anyway, we did it all on the Zoom. It was a family meeting. I don't mean my family. It was a family meeting for a memorial service for as a celebrant. We did everything on Zoom. Well, it saved an hour going there and an hour coming back, and was just as efficient.
So you're talking about business and private, though. They're totally different. When I'm at work, I'm not with my family, and it's about how you separate. And that's what we were talking about with the research from Provocan. It's about how do you separate work and how do you separate.
What is Provocan, by the way? What is
it's Provocan is a CBD oil that we did the research on parents. So it was some useful research about looking at how work-life balance changes in the summer around schools and school children, and how do you cope with the extra pressure.
Yeah. So here's this question from Fat Scott again. Bring the brain back into the moment. Love it, Dave. Knowing that you need to live for the 24 hours. But how do you recondition an elderly man who's always been the emotional, good question, always been the emotional prop? Now he's got cancer. Noise. Wow. How do you do that?
How do I recondition somebody to have a different set of habits?
Elderly man, but we're talking about Fat Scott's father here.
You take it as an individual. You look at his needs. You deal with the human being rather than the illness. You look at what his needs are, and you make him as comfortable as you can be. So you bring him back into how can we enjoy today? What can we get out of today?
It's very. I've been there. I've been there. That's why I'm digging, because I've been there, and it's very hard. Dave Sleet, who is in London at the moment, normally in Scotland. We live in an environment. We live in the environment we create or accept for ourselves, designing the environment we want with the circle around us that support us in achieving the environment that we want.
Yes, exactly that, and I agree with you, Dave, because when my mum was ill, I thought to myself, I need to be there for her. That was my priority.
Yes.
I want to be there for her. I want to support her, and do everything I can. Equally, I thought I'm no good to anyone if I don't at least rest myself. And so I thought to myself, I'm going to rest for 6 to 8 hours a day or night, whenever it was. I might not have slept all that time because it was a hugely worrying situation and I was dealing with it by myself as my mum's only child. But I thought, at least if I'm resting, I can kind of, I'm there for my mum. I can do that priority. I was also holding down a job as well at the same time. But it worked for me because it was what I needed to do. It's what I wanted to do. And at least I was resting.
I think the problem that we've got as a species is that we've got paleo body and emotions, we've got ancient institutions, and we've got godlike technology. And when you look at what we have attached to us, what we have access to, it's beyond our physiology. So we need to put breaks in our day, like you were saying, about how do I get from where I am now to being able to get to sleep? What routines can I put in? What lifestyle, what step can I put in between being alert and awake and asleep and at rest? And there's a step process. It's getting the right habits. It's getting a wind down routine. It's learning to be able to meditate and relax. It's a skill.
But it takes practice. I mean,
absolutely.
I think what we got to stress is you cannot just say, well, hey, you know what? I'm going to meditate.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work like that.
One of my favorite hacks was off the social media recently. Is if you don't know how to meditate, think about what your next thought going to be. Just pause and go, I wonder what my next thought's going to be. Half of people don't have a next thought. That's meditation. Just being present, being stopped. And it takes practice. Yeah.
There's
like
so much to unpack here, Dave. One is the technology has far outrun us as human beings. And we haven't even touched the sides with it yet. Because people, if you don't understand the power of AI, you are living in the Middle Ages. Trust me.
Oh gosh. That's
you
a whole
have
other
no
subject.
idea what's coming. You have no idea what's coming down the road. And believe me, it will make this look like a freaking picnic. It absolutely will. But here's a very good question. Here's a good question.
There's quite a lot made of, oh, we must switch off, we must do this, and that can be stressful in itself. Last night, yesterday, I had quite a busy day, and then I was helping a friend out, and I got back home, and it was about 10 o'clock, and I thought, well, I've got to get up early, but actually, I'm just going to sit for a few minutes in the garden, look at all the twinkly lights that my friend has got lined up round the garden. And that in itself, it was quite a spontaneous thing. I thought I'd just decompress, I'd just chill for a few minutes. And actually, just a couple of minutes looking at the twinkly lights, it's apropos of nothing, but it really helped as well.
We have lost, and Dave, jump in whenever you want, but I've got loads of good comments coming up, by the way. And you're resonating a lot with the listeners and the viewers. We have lost that ability, which is everything you're saying, to be in the moment. We're always, I've got to be here, I've got to be there. No, got to live in the moment. You've got to, because if you don't, you're never present, and it's not a way to live. I'm really strong on that because I've been the other way, and it's awful.
Yeah.
Because then eventually, and Dave, I'm sure this must be your experience. You're somewhere. I'd really rather be somewhere else. So you go to the somewhere else. You think, oh shit, I'd rather be. So you're never centered. Very important. Very, very important. Kimmy Lashmar says this question to you. We shouldn't expect instant reaction. Well, that's how it is now. Are we so afraid of not knowing something?
I love that question, Kimmy. That's brilliant.
Dave, before you answer, I'll just put it into perspective. The president of the most powerful nation on earth resigns, says he's not running for election on Twitter. That's where we've got to as a society, on Twitter. Think about that. I mentioned it at the front end of the show. It's beyond belief. Are we afraid of not knowing something? Probably.
I think in an age where you've got instant access to all the information, you've got access to information, but you haven't got access to knowledge or wisdom or experience. What I have learned for myself is that the thing that I want access to is gratitude. And if you've got gratitude, you can't have another emotion. Gratitude will block stress. Gratitude will make you able to be right here, right now. And I think one of the things that I ask my people that I work with is to write down the 3 things that they're looking forward to doing today. And at the end of the day, write the 3 things down that you love today and the 3 things down that you will love tomorrow. At that moment, your brain's going, I've got something and I know what I've got. It's not like I'm worried about what I don't know. I do know what I did today. I did know some of it was good. I can have that. And I know what I'm going to do tomorrow, give or take 3 things that are going to be good. At that moment, I've wrapped myself in a bubble of gratitude, and life isn't as stressful if I'm grateful. There's a simple tip. And is that instantaneous? Yes, it is.
I know there's people watching all over the world, especially America, and they're thinking, well, this is just word salad. Wait. And they think, well, it's just nonsense about gratitude. I agree with you about gratitude, because when things get really crazy for me, I think, well, what? Put the brakes on here, fella. Put the brakes on. What do you got going for you? What are you grateful for? And you go, well, I'm grateful for those things. Those are fantastic things. And then it really helps. It really helps. And it's not clapping yourself on the back and saying what a fabulous human being you are. It's quite different. It's instead of having a completely negative outlook and everything is shit and it's all terrible, it's all going to hell in a handcar, you think, well, what's good about my life? And once you got that, it's good. And another fan, Kimmy Lashmar, got a fan here. Listening to this guy is so relaxing. His voice is calming and his words resonate. This is a great show. Thank you, Kimmy Lashmar.
Thank you, Kimmy.
She wasn't talking to you, talking to Dave.
I'm collectively thanking.
Yeah, thank you. That's very sweet.
We're talking about gratitude.
Oh yeah, gratitude. Yeah, I'm really grateful for his lovely voice.
I think
calming
the thing
way in his lovely Oasis and his fancy pants headphones. I'm grateful.
I think the thing that I realized recently in my older age was that I have control over my thinking. I have control over my mind. My brain isn't me. And when I direct my brain,
whoa, stop! Your brain isn't you.
No, I exist outside of my brain. There is something about me that isn't just my brain. I can tell my brain what I want my brain to do. If I focus my brain on where I want it to go, it will go there. I can control where I put my intention, and where I put my thoughts then become me. So I am outside of my brain. There's a lot of signals that go to your brain that you don't even get. You're not consciously aware of them. But when you direct your focus and your thinking, that's what we're changing. You're changing your ability to say, I'm going to choose to put my lens through that filter. And all of us start from somewhere different. None of us we're all different. Some of us will start with the most awful of circumstances. You can't compare that to somebody who's starting with the best day of their life, but you can move forward one little step. And at that point, you've got control.
I'm going back to Scott Lyons, who calls himself Fat Scotty, because he's fat. No, he's not. I'm going back to that. If you're having a normal life, whatever the hell normal these days means, well, I think probably in London means not getting stabbed. But anyway, if you're having a normal life, you find the time and the energy to apply this. I agree with you, Dave. All right. If you've got horrendous cancer, as Scott Lyons' dad has, it's a superhuman effort to be grateful, to be in the moment, and to be positive.
Absolutely.
It's really, really tough, and we cannot underplay that.
Well, we all live in our own shoes. I mean, I remember watching a friend of mine die from pancreatic cancer under the age of 50. I didn't know how he did what he did. Trevor was scared for the last 2 days of his life. He lived with that death sentence for 18 months with gratitude. I couldn't have done it myself. So we start with our own resources. We start with our own capabilities, and we are who we are. We can just move one step forward from the place that we're at. So yeah, I wouldn't say to anybody that you could live easily with that sort of an illness. It's trying to make the best of the worst situation.
Well, that's just common sense. I agree.
Absolutely.
Scotty says this. Dave, what are the products on your desk? Are they related to stress relief? Well, one's a microphone, Scotty. I know as a professional broadcaster, you won't have seen one.
Well,
before.
yes, state the bleeding obvious, honestly.
Well, I'm just being helpful to Scott Lyons. I'm just being helpful.
Thanks, Scotty. Thanks for asking. When I was doing the research with Provocan, what surprised us most was how much we're still relying on alcohol and vaping and nicotine, and we know that they will rob you of sleep. There's different ways of getting yourself de-stressed. You could try meditation, you can try lavender, or you can try CBD oil. And CBD oil is a natural remedy. It's a natural stress reliever. So those are the products.
It's interesting. I did 103 shows called the ABC of CBD, and I knew nothing about it when I started. And at the end of 103 weeks, I knew one hell of a lot about CBD and its benefits. Trust me, with a great guy called Ollie Mammon, who's become a good friend.
I've noticed there's sort of been a couple of comments about this sort of whole idea of FOMO, this fear of missing out. That's why we got this, as somebody mentioned, forward motion. We need to know everything. We need to be in the moment. There's this FOMO. And actually, I don't worry about FOMO because I don't need to know everything. And I got to a point where, and as I say, it goes back to when I was looking after mum and trying to keep myself going and talking to her and sorting things out and stuff. I thought to myself, do you know what? Mum and I are trying to deal with a horrific situation as best we can. Grace and, trying to be a bit spiritual, but also very, very frightened. And I thought to myself, I can't be arsed with other people's dramas. And I still had that to this day. And I don't feel I'm missing out.
You're missing out nothing.
There's plenty that, because of the job I'm in, there's plenty that goes around, oh, she this and she that and blah, 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 and gossip and whatever. It's the nature of the beast of working in broadcasting, as Russ will tell you. But you know what? I can't be bothered. I can't be asked. It's other people's dramas, other people's gossip. And I sort of think to myself, well, if they've got nothing better to do than gossip about me, then their lives must be very sad and unfulfilled. And that's where the FOMO comes. But all of us in this group who very kindly join us every week on the Midday show, we've all got such a lot of things that we do, whether it's caring for a relative or whether it's our jobs or seeing friends, whatever it is, they're all very fulfilling. So we don't need that, have to have that FOMO.
I don't fear of missing out at all. I'm not interested, especially socially. Couldn't care less. Somebody was saying, "Are you invited to so-and-so's party?" No. Well, are you upset? Couldn't give a shit. So it's irrelevant. If they want to invite me, invite me. If you don't want to invite me, it's fine. I've got enough. I'm fine. I'm fine. The fear of missing out, it's a whole thing. And the other thing I always say, and I'm sure Dave would agree, is that I don't need your psychodrama in my life. I don't need it. You are a mood hoover. I don't mean you. I mean, you identify them. They're a mood hoover. You're a downer as a person. You're sucking away my energy, my joie de vivre. I don't need that in my life. Thank you very much. I've got to the stage, and it takes time, and it comes hopefully with maturity and experience. You think, I'm better off without it. I don't need it. And if you're upset about that, that's your problem. It's not my problem.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm content in my own skin.
We do say that
Scott, yes, you see, this is important. He suffers from FOMO, fear of missing. Such an arse.
You need to go to the supermarket when the whoopsies are on. That's what you need to do.
I think, when you're talking about, we are the sum of the closest 5 to 7 people in our life. So energetically, we get surrounded by different people. So they know, for example, if you are, how would I say it, in love with the person, your heart rate sync. If you're around people that are stressed, you pick up on the stress.
Oh, yeah.
And they did some really interesting work on FOMO in Tel Aviv University a few years back around fear of missing out and mobile phone apps. And they looked at people who had phones in bed just using them to scroll on TV, and you had phones in bed on social media. And what they found is that the people who'd been scrolling through social media were 60% more likely to grind their teeth.
I do.
Are you
Straight
your,
away. I'm
are
that
you a sign of
person.
stress? Are you a sign of stress? And when they asked the researchers, why do you think that is? They said fear of missing out. It's because your brain is thinking, I wonder what that person is now saying about me on social media. So we're
you see, this is interesting. I'm sure that's the research. I get it. I have no interest in what people say about me. I genuinely don't. If they're happy with the job I'm doing, then I'm interested. The rest of it's window dressing, and I really couldn't give the monkeys. Haven't done for years. If I get a nice review for my work, I'm happy. If the client says, "Thank you for that service" or whatever, that's marvelous. I don't. I read a lot of political stuff. I get absolutely furious, and then I think, wait a minute, this is cranking me up. I'm like Jason Statham, and there's nothing I can do about it. There's absolutely nothing I can do. But I'm furious at the injustice. But again, nothing I can do. Nothing. Stop it, Fat Scotty. It's interesting. Go and give a quick plug to your products while you're there. Might as well.
A quick plug for the products.
Go ahead, knock yourself out.
I got interested in it because so many of us are turning to unnatural ways of de-stressing, and it was sort of okay. What are your choices? Your choices are meditation, lavender oil, CBD oil. They're from provacan.co.uk. There's lots of information on the website around sleep tips, well-being tips, and more information about CBD oil. That's provacan with a C, not a K.co.uk.
Provacan. Okay, and we'll end with this comment coming in from northeastern United States from Dr. Asa Don Brown. It's about balance of your time and what is occupying your mind. That is so true. And
Absolutely.
also,
yes.
You know how we could sum this up in a nice pretty bow? Is stop beating the shit out of yourself. Stop beating yourself up about everything.
Absolutely.
In life. And I'm the worst. I know that. I know that. So I'm a terrible hypocrite. But don't do it. Be kind to yourself. What Liz said, and it sounded like something so simple. She's really stressed. What did she do yesterday? Went and sat in the garden. There's some little fairy lights, twinkly lights, and she enjoyed it. Right? Cost you nothing. Changed her whole outlook. Simple stuff. And make lists. Get through your list for the day. You've achieved stuff. That's how you do it, I think. Dave, you are welcome to come back, fella, anytime, because the audience has absolutely loved you. I think two of the ladies are deeply in love with you. I'd say that I think you're in there.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys.
On radio for, but you get that here, quite frankly. Thank you
so much.
Oh, it's absolutely.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks, folks.
Bye. Well, Liz Saul, what a charming chap. What a very, very charming.
He was very interesting, actually. I'm glad I stopped by.
I'm glad you happened to be drifting by in your special way. Again, all I can say, gang, because I know so many of you saying, why can't we get you on this and why can't we find you on that anymore? It is not us. Twitter have changed their rules, so you have to have a Prime membership of Twitter. I'm not spending that enormous amount of money to do. No, I'm just not. It seems unfair.
Well, no.
And we should have got round the technical issues thanks to the wonderful Phil Dave, who was on WhatsApp with me for an hour and a half, technically trying to solve the problem with the espresso bar. It's not that we don't love you. We're doing our best. But when they keep changing the way that you're able to communicate, through the tech side of it, which I know Sweet FA, it's very, very difficult.
It's the irony of communication platforms.
And I have to tell you, and I'm not blowing smoke up his posterior, but Phil Dave is one of the most brilliant technical people I've ever met. We've been friends for 20 years.
Oh, yes, he's very good. He's very modest, too.
Ridiculous. Well, he has a lot to be modest about. But, it's an old Winston Churchill gag. But, even he, an hour and a half it took to try and work out what Facebook was saying so we could try and broadcast to the espresso bar where I've got over 1,100 members. So
yes,
we're doing our best, guys. I'm really sorry, but we're a little tiny, David up against the Goliaths of the world.
But thank you to everyone who subscribed and follows us on Facebook with the Midday Show. That's almost up to 700, I think, now.
It's fantastic. Well. Thank you so much.
Keep spreading the word.
Please do. Liz, lots of love to you. I hope everything's good. You're looking very well today, if I may say so.
Thank you. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, so I'm glad to hear that.
What? Well, you've got me. You've confused me because there's a 4 o'clock. Bye-bye. Isn't she great? Liz Saul, who's so supportive and every bit as nice as you think she might be. Thank you, everybody all over the world, for watching. Really, really appreciate it. We'll be back on Friday with the fearless Mr. Jonathan Baz, who'll be ripping apart or loving the theatrical productions that he's seen. Probably he never stops. I was supposed to be with him this evening, but I can't because I have to officiate at a funeral, and I won't be there in time and able to get to Chichester to be with him to see, what is it? Oliver. Meant to be a great production of Oliver, but we'll hear all about it on Friday. Chantal will be with us, the ever glamorous, ever brilliant Chantal Rickards, OBE, and I'll be doing my best to stay sane. Until then, stay out of trouble. Bye now.